The once stable U.S. Canada relationship is now in turmoil, shaken by a series of escalating disputes and public disagreements that have caught the attention of the world. At the center of this storm is a very public clash between Mark Carney, Canada's seasoned economic leader, and former U.S. President Donald Trump, whose unpredictable style has upended diplomatic norms. Trump's emotional and often combative reactions have put Carney's diplomatic skills under a harsh spotlight, forcing him to respond to criticism while maintaining composure on the world stage. Meanwhile, Canada faces a growing trade deficit and mounting economic uncertainty, with markets reacting nervously to every new headline and policy announcement. Carney's previous trade policies, once considered prudent, are now being re-examined by both supporters and critics as the country searches for a path forward. The pressure on Carney to protect Canada's interests has never been higher, with protesters and politicians alike demanding strong leadership and clear results. Analysts across the political spectrum debate whether Carney should confront Trump head-on or take a more cautious approach, weighing the risks of escalation against the need to stand firm. Some suggest that simply not losing ground in negotiations may be the best possible outcome for Canada, given the unpredictable nature of Trump's tactics. At its core, the issue is a dramatic clash of styles. Trump's confrontational, transactional approach versus Carney's preference for careful, multilateral diplomacy and consensus building. What began as a technical trade disagreement has now evolved into a deeply personal feud, with both leaders' reputations and legacies on the line. The stakes have never been higher for both countries, as every diplomatic move is scrutinized by the public and the press. Carney must now defend Canada's interests with skill and restraint, seeking to avoid provoking Trump further, a delicate balancing act that could ultimately define the future of North American relations for years to come. As the world watches closely, every move Carney makes could have lasting consequences for the alliance, shaping not just trade, but the broader relationship between two of the world's closest neighbors. Tensions reached a boiling point when the Ontario government aired a World Series ad prominently featuring Ronald Reagan's famous anti-protectionism speech. The timing and message were unmistakable, a pointed jab at then-President Trump's aggressive trade policies. The ad, broadcast during a major sporting event, was designed to capture maximum attention, and it did just that, sparking immediate controversy on both sides of the border. Trump was incensed, interpreting the ad as a direct and personal attack on his administration. The Reagan Foundation quickly stepped in, publicly condemning the use of Reagan's words, arguing that they had been taken out of context and misused for political gain. The controversy quickly dominated headlines, fueling heated debates about political messaging and respect for historical figures. Facing mounting criticism and political pressure from both the U.S. and within Canada, Premier Doug Ford made the decision to pull the ad. However, by then, the damage to diplomatic relations had already been done, and the controversy continued to simmer. In retaliation, Trump abruptly canceled the upcoming trade talks between the U.S. and Canada, escalating what had started as a policy disagreement into a full-blown diplomatic standoff. The move sent shockwaves through both governments and left negotiators scrambling. Ironically, the ad was originally intended to highlight the shared free market values between the two countries. Instead, it deepened the rift, with Trump perceiving it as a direct challenge to his authority and his vision for U.S. trade policy. The fallout from the ad demonstrated just how quickly a single political message can derail even the most sensitive and high-stakes negotiations, leaving both sides at an impasse. Ford's controversial move not only complicated Ottawa's efforts to maintain a stable relationship with Washington, but also gave Trump a convenient excuse to harden his stance and rally his supporters. In the end, a single 30-second commercial managed to push the already fragile U.S.-Canada relationship to the brink, serving as a stark reminder of the power and peril of political messaging in international affairs. In response to Trump's cancellation of trade talks, Carney publicly criticized Trump's emotional decision-making at the ASEAN summit. He argued that international negotiations require calm and rational leadership, not impulsive reactions. Carney placed the responsibility for de-escalation squarely on Trump, positioning Canada as the more measured party. This bold move reframed the debate, emphasizing professionalism and stability. Carney's remarks rallied support for Canada at home and abroad, but risked further escalation with Trump. It was a clear signal: Canada would not back down from its principles, even under intense pressure. Trump responded by refusing to meet Carney and suspending all trade negotiations with Canada. He imposed a new 10% tariff on Canadian goods, directly targeting Canada's economy. Trump also accused Canada of meddling in the U.S. Supreme Court, a baseless claim that further inflamed tensions. Each Canadian response was met with even harsher retaliation, creating a cycle of escalation. Trump's message was clear. Any perceived slight would be met with overwhelming force. Traditional diplomacy was sidelined and the U.S. Canada relationship entered uncharted territory. The prospect of a quick resolution faded as both sides dug in. The trade war's economic fallout hit both countries hard. Canada's exporters faced higher costs and job losses, while U.S. companies reliant on Canadian goods saw prices rise. Consumers on both sides paid more, fueling inflation and uncertainty. Key industries like autos and agriculture built on integrated supply chains were especially vulnerable. The unpredictability made businesses hesitant to invest, threatening long-term growth. Decades of economic partnership were suddenly at risk, as tariffs disrupted the efficiency that made North America competitive. Companies began rethinking cross-border operations, raising the specter of a costly decoupling. The trade dispute threatened not just growth, but the very foundation of the U.S. Canada economic alliance. The dispute sent shockwaves through both capitals. In the U.S., Trump's actions drew criticism from politicians like California's Gavin Newsom, who called the tariff self-defeating. In Canada, Carney and the federal government faced intense pressure to defend national interests without worsening the crisis. Doug Ford's controversial ad and its quick withdrawal highlighted the unpredictable impact of provincial politics on national diplomacy. The conflict exposed internal divisions and made compromise harder, as leaders played to their domestic audiences. Trust between institutions eroded, and the risk of future crises grew. The alliance's stability now seemed more fragile than ever. The recent series of confrontations has left U.S.-Canada relations more strained and uncertain than they have been in decades. Once considered one of the world's closest partnerships, the relationship now faces significant challenges that threaten its very foundation. With high-stakes talks suspended and tariffs still in place, the path to reconciliation is unclear. The economic impact is already being felt, as businesses on both sides of the border struggle with new barriers and uncertainty about the future. Personal animosity between President Trump and Canadian leader Mark Carney, layered over deep policy disputes, makes a quick fix unlikely. Their public disagreements have only deepened mistrust, complicating efforts to find common ground. Restoring trust will require both sides to step back, reflect, and recommit to respectful, professional negotiations. Only through honest dialogue and a willingness to compromise can progress be made. The deep economic and cultural ties between the two nations remain strong, serving as a reminder of what's at stake. Yet, the current crisis is a stark warning. Even the closest alliances can be damaged if not carefully maintained. Only a renewed focus on shared interests, mutual respect, and common values can restore stability and trust. Both countries must remember the benefits of cooperation and the risks of division. Without this renewed commitment, the relationship risks drifting into a period of managed decline, with real consequences for citizens, businesses, and communities on both sides of the border. The future of U.S.-Canada relations depends on whether leaders can rediscover the spirit of partnership, trust, and collaboration that once defined this vital alliance, and whether they can adapt it to meet the challenges of a changing world.